Hi, PerspectiveWeather.com meteorologist Paul Dorian here on Thursday, October 29th. A lot to talk about this morning. We have the remains of Zeta racing to the north and east, producing a significant rain event for the Tennessee Valley, the Appalachians, the Mid-Atlantic region, into the southern part of New England over the next 12 to 24 hours or so. Much colder air wraps into this powerful system late tonight into the early part of Friday, likely to result in accumulating snow in parts of the northeast U.S. The interior higher elevation locations on Friday could see the first accumulating snow of the season, as that rain should change over to snow in places like the Poconos in northeastern Pennsylvania, the Catskill Mountains of New York, the Hudson Valley region, probably all the way down to the coastline of southern New England. There could be some snow and even some accumulating snow on Friday. All of that is followed by the first hard freeze of the season in much of the Mid-Atlantic region, the northeast U.S., late tomorrow night, early Saturday morning, a cold Halloween day on Saturday, and then another blast of cold air, perhaps even more impressive than this current blast of cold air that arrives late tonight, early tomorrow in the Mid-Atlantic region. We're talking Sunday night and Monday, windy and cold conditions, and it looks like that early week cold blast will be accompanied by some lake effect snows in the Great Lakes region, maybe even some snow showers making it all the way into the Appalachians and perhaps even on the eastern side into the I-95 corridor region. We'll focus in on that over the next couple of days. This is the latest map from the National Hurricane Center. Here's the position of Zeta. Of course, it is accelerating. It's moving now around 40 miles per hour to the north and east. It made landfall yesterday right as expected in the southeastern part of Louisiana. That made the fifth direct hit of the season in that particular state. I think yesterday I said it would be the sixth. Actually, the fifth direct hit, nonetheless, quite an active year for the state of Louisiana. Look at this, another wave to monitor over the next few days. If this indeed becomes a named storm over the next several days, it would be the 28th named storm of the 2020 tropical season. That would tie us with the record-breaking year of 2005. So yet another tropical system to monitor. And of course, the waters are still relatively warm throughout the Caribbean Sea and the Gulf of Mexico. This racing off to the north and east produces some gusty winds throughout the Mid-Atlantic region, especially later today into tonight, and a significant rain event. Watch out for some localized flooding, perhaps 2 or 3 inches of rain in some areas, extending from the Tennessee Valley across the Appalachians in the Mid-Atlantic region and right into the southern part of New England over the next 12 to 24 hours or so. Well, let's kind of take a quick look at the summary of the tropical season, both in the Atlantic Basin and in the Pacific Ocean right now. And again, there's another tropical wave that we are now monitoring. If that indeed becomes a named storm, it would be the 28th, tying us in the Atlantic Basin for the very active year of 2005 in terms of number of storms. Now, the ACE index, or the accumulated cyclone energy, is certainly on average per storm much lower this season than it was in 2005. And this is a compilation from the Colorado State University folks with regard to the ACE, the accumulated cyclone energy. We've talked about this being probably the best way to measure overall tropical activity in the Atlantic and the Pacific, because it takes into account both the strength of a storm as well as the longevity of a storm. And we've had many named tropical systems this year in the Atlantic Basin that have been rather short-lived. Years and decades ago may never have been named. So the number of storms is a little bit deceiving. The ACE index is, I think, a better measure. And certainly in the Atlantic Ocean, we see right here, the North Atlantic, it is an above normal season in terms of Atlantic cyclone energy. The number on the left is the current number for the season of the accumulated cyclone energy, and the number on the right in the parentheses represents the average in the 1981-2010 time period. Certainly above normal this year in the Atlantic Basin, not as bad as it was in 2005. But take a look at the Pacific Ocean. Both of these, the Pacific is broken up into two sections, the northwest and the northeast. And the Pacific Ocean is by far the world's largest ocean. In fact, about 75% of the tropical cyclones around the world take place in the Pacific Ocean. So what goes on in the Pacific really dominates in importance, overall importance, what goes on in the Atlantic. Of course, the Atlantic is where the U.S. is of interest, so that is crucially important as well. But look at what's going on in the Pacific this year, below normal throughout the Pacific Ocean, both in the northeast and the northwest. In fact, significantly below normal in the on the other side of the date line, the northwestern part of the Pacific. And overall, northern hemisphere, because of the domination of the Pacific Ocean and because of the fact that it's been well below normal in the Pacific Ocean in terms of accumulated cyclone energy, overall numbers for the northern hemisphere below normal, 341 versus 485, which is the normal for that base period of 1981-2010. So again, kind of a continuation of the pattern we've seen all summer long, with above normal activity in the Atlantic, far below normal activity in the much larger Pacific Ocean, and overall that gives us below normal accumulated cyclone energy this tropical season, up to date throughout the northern hemisphere. Well, let's get back to the heavy rain event right now, extending from the Tennessee Valley to the Appalachians and into the southern part of New England. It'll rain quite hard in places like D.C., Philadelphia, New York City, all day and all night long. And then later on tonight, some colder air will start to wrap into this powerful system, really kind of a two-parter. And we've talked over the past few days about the vigorous upper-level low out in the southwest U.S. that helped to produce significant snow and ice out in the southwestern states. New Mexico and Texas, Oklahoma suffered a substantial ice storm with more than 300,000 people in Oklahoma still without power due to this unusual early season ice storm. This area right here on radar is kind of associated with that upper level low, and this area farther to the east is associated with the remnants of Zeta. Kind of a two-parter here for the mid-Atlantic region, and that is what poses the potential problem for Friday in terms of the possibility of some accumulating snow. First, this goes on through basically today and early tonight, and then the upper level low kind of sets off the development of a secondary low near the mid-Atlantic coastline late tonight and early tomorrow. At the same time, colder air is wrapping into the system. So this rainy area right now associated with the upper level low is what could result in some accumulating snow tomorrow, late tonight, early tomorrow, in places like upstate Pennsylvania, New York State, southern part of New England. So a lot going on, and as depicted here by this radar map that's available on WSI's Intellicast.com. Well, let's take a look at the forecast anomalies of the 500 millibar heights from last night's 6Z run of the GFS. And here is that vigorous upper level low. This is that cold upper level feature that was situated over New Mexico over the past couple of days, helped to contribute to the significant snow in parts of New Mexico, even blizzard conditions, which is quite incredible for the latter part of October. Significant snow across northern Texas and a major ice storm in Oklahoma. Meanwhile, Zeta, the remnants of Zeta now over the Appalachians here, causing some tremendous rainfall in that part of the nation. Watch what happens here as we go through the next 24 hours. Here, by the time we get to tomorrow morning, here is the remains now of that upper level feature. So again, kind of a two-parter contributing to the precipitation in the mid-Atlantic, the northeast over the next 24 to 36 hours. So heavy rain today into tonight associated with the remnants of Zeta. Winds will pick up in intensity as well. And then the upper level low kind of sets off the development of a secondary low near the mid-Atlantic coastline for late tonight and tomorrow morning. At the same time, colder air wraps in to that secondary system, causing a changeover to snow upstate Pennsylvania, southern New York, southern part of New England, even some accumulations in the higher elevation areas like the Poconos in northeastern PA, the Catskills, the Hudson Valley region. This then pushes off to the north and east and sets the stage for A very cold night tomorrow night with the first hard freeze in many areas in the Mid-Atlantic region, the northeastern part of the U.S., including in the urban corridor of D.C. to Philadelphia to New York City. Certainly the suburbs of the big cities will likely experience temperatures at or below freezing tomorrow night into Saturday morning. An interesting note here, parts of the Mid-Atlantic region, if indeed they suffer their first freeze of the season late tomorrow night and early Saturday morning, as I expect, that will make it the shortest growing season in some spots since about 2002. Now, those kind of figures are not easy to come by, but what I've found out is that the last freeze in the springtime and the first freeze of this season, expected tomorrow night into Saturday morning, in parts of the Mid-Atlantic region will actually be the shortest growing season, and that's the time between the two freezes since about 2002. So pretty impressive for this time of the year to get this kind of cold into the Mid-Atlantic, into the Northeast, and of course we had really some astonishing cold and snow in the western and central U.S. over the past several days. High pressure, both in the upper part of the atmosphere and the lower part of the atmosphere, take control over the upcoming weekend. A cold Halloween day on Saturday as we end the month of October. But look at here, by Saturday afternoon, we're already looking upstream to another significant upper level feature. That dives to the south and east, and a strong cold front will whip through the Mid-Atlantic region later Sunday night into Monday morning and usher in perhaps an even more impressive and even colder air mass than the one that we'll experience late tonight and on Friday and Friday night. The next cold air mass on Sunday night and Monday, very impressive, will be accompanied by some strong winds way below normal temperatures in the D.C. to Boston corridor. Lake effect snows as well associated with that early week blast, specifically in the Great Lakes region, but there could even be some snow showers that work their way to the east into the central Appalachians, maybe even to the east into the I-95 corridor region. So a very cold air mass comes in for Sunday night and Monday, rather quickly pulls on out of that part of the country, the Mid-Atlantic, the Northeast, by the middle part of next week. Well, let's now put all of this together in terms of the surface forecast map, and here we go on Thursday morning here with the remains of Zeta right in this region right here. Notice this extending all the way back, and again, this area is associated with that upper level feature. That is the key area for the potential of accumulating snow late tonight, early tomorrow. This is racing off to the north and east, will result in a significant rain event today into tonight, D.C., Philadelphia, New York City, and look at this, by early tonight, already some blues showing up here. This is a cold high pressure area over the just north of the Great Lakes region by early this evening. And notice this first low pressure area already reaching the Mid-Atlantic coastline or just off the Mid-Atlantic coastline by early tonight. This represents the remnants of Zeta. But then as we go a little bit ahead on this particular run, a little bit of a low pressure area showing up here over the southern part of Virginia late tonight. That's associated with that upper level feature that hangs back. Notice a little bit more blue here, which depicts the area of snow. And then kind of another development here, an intensification of that secondary low off the Mid-Atlantic coastline late tonight, early tomorrow. This is associated with that upper level feature. Snow breaks out, accumulating snow at that in higher elevation areas, upstate Pennsylvania, southern New York, much of New York State, and all the way to the coastline of southern New England. There can be some snow and even some accumulations. Let's move forward here. And that finally pulls on out of here tomorrow afternoon. Not out of the question that some snowflakes make it all the way into the northern western suburbs of New York City on Friday, even into Philadelphia, Allentown, east central Pennsylvania on Friday. All of that then pulls on out of here by Friday night, and a high pressure moves right on top of the region by late tomorrow night into early Saturday morning, setting the stage for the first freeze of the season in much of the Mid-Atlantic much of the northeast U.S. High pressure will move overhead, resulting in diminishing winds, rapidly diminishing winds with clearing skies, maybe some snow cover in places like New York State and northern Pennsylvania, southern New England, all leading to the likelihood of at or below freezing low temperatures by Saturday morning, the first hard freeze of the season. Again, very early in the season for below freezing temperatures. Again, a very short growing season between the last freeze of the spring and the first freeze of this season in much of the mid-Atlantic and northeast U.S. A cold Halloween day follows, but dry. That's the good news. And then look at this upstream, another significant cold air outbreak crossing the Great Lakes on Sunday. That cold front arrives in the mid-Atlantic region by Sunday evening. Maybe a shower or two, not a heavy rain event associated with that Sunday night cold frontal passage in the mid-Atlantic region. That then ushers in a cold air mass. This is the Monday morning forecast map. This is a stiff north to northwest wind. D.C., Philadelphia, New York City, temperatures way below normal on Monday. Look at this right here. This is a lake effect type of snow event here setting up on Monday, and some of that snow could make it all the way to the Appalachians, maybe even to the east of the Appalachians, into the I-95 corridor region. Highs in places like D.C., Philadelphia, New York City, confined to the 40s at best. It's way below normal for this time of the year. I think the normal high right now in D.C., for example, is about 65 degrees, about 61 degrees right now in Central Park. A very cold and windy day for this time of the year, and that's the early part of November in the Mid-Atlantic region, in the Northeast U.S., and that will be accompanied by lake effect snows and probably the first widespread lake effect snow event coming on Monday. So a lot going on in the world of weather over the next several days. That's it for now. For PerspectiveWeather.com, I'm meteorologist Paul Dorian.